again, and welcome back to another online children's moment at the Chicago Temple. My name is Pierce Fetters, and I head up the family ministries at the Chicago Temple, and it is so good to have you here with us this morning. I hope you've all had a wonderful week, and I want to congratulate all of you who made it through another year of school. I am so proud of you. Keep up the good work. Now, in a normal year around this time, we would be taking a group of members from the temple to join with other welcoming churches in the area to march in the city's annual Pride Parade. For those of you who might not know what Pride means, let me give you a brief explanation. Pride takes place every year, during the month of June. And during this month, people inside the LGBTQIA+ community celebrate the freedom to be themselves, a freedom which has not always been allowed in our country. These celebrations occur in June because of an important protest that happened in 1969. We call this protest the Stonewall Riots. And these events occurred on June 28th of 1969 when city police raided the Stonewall Inn, which was a gay club that was located in Greenwich Village in New York City. At the time, if you were LGBTQIA+, you could be arrested just because of who you loved. The raid sparked a riot among bar patrons and neighborhood residents as police roughly hauled employees and patrons out of the bars, and this led to 6 days of protests and violent clashes with law enforcement outside the bar on Christopher Street, in neighboring streets, and also in nearby Christopher Park. The Stonewall Riots then served as a catalyst for the gay rights movement in the United States and around the world. So that's why we celebrate in June and continue to celebrate, as we know the work is not finished. We are still working for justice and equality in our country, in our church, and in our world. And we've heard a lot of these same words recently, right? Protest and riot. And we've seen people standing up against the injustices in our country surrounding race in America. I think it's important that the church is a part of these voices that call for equality and justice in our world, and in our country, and in our church. So I thought it was important to share this bit of history with you this morning. Because sadly, the church has often been on the other side of LGBTQIA+ rights. I'm thankful that we are a welcoming church, but far too many churches in our denomination, and our denomination itself, is not. I keep using the word welcoming, and you may be thinking why. And I think our Bible verse today will help to explain it. Our passage comes from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 10, verses 40 to 42. And just so you know, in this passage, Jesus is speaking. Jesus said, "Whoever welcomes you welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward, and whoever welcomes a righteous person in the name of a righteous person will receive the reward of the righteous. And whoever gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, truly I tell you, none of these will lose their reward." Jesus is teaching his disciples something very important. And it's something that continues to be important to this day. Jesus was preparing to send his disciples out into the world to tell others about Jesus' work and his ministry. Jesus says that when they are going from town to town, the people who welcome the disciples into their homes are also welcoming Jesus into their homes, even though he's not with them. So we see this idea of welcoming as something that's central to Christianity. It's a practice not just for the disciples to experience, but they realize that they also need to adopt this practice of welcoming into their own lives. Jesus goes on to explain that. The smallest thing that can make a person feel welcome, right? When someone is thirsty, give them a drink of water to welcome them. And when you or anyone you love does this kind of thing, you are showing God's love. Right? That makes sense. So acts of love and welcoming are important. The disciples realized that when we show the love of God to others, we are showing God's love. And when we welcome others, we are welcoming God. And we know from Scripture that Jesus often welcomed those who others in the community thought weren't good enough or weren't worth welcoming. Time and time again, Jesus found himself among people who were from the outskirts of society. And guess what he did? He welcomed them with open arms. As a church, I believe we always need to be modeling Jesus' radical love and inclusion. We need to be like Jesus and not be afraid to go to the outskirts of society, where sadly far too many people have been pushed, and let them know about the inclusive love of God that is for all. This is not easy, and other Christians may not get it, but Jesus has told us to be welcoming. He doesn't give us any stipulations beyond just welcoming those we meet. And if we are truly seeing how Jesus lived his life, we will follow his example by recognizing the need to welcome those who are not often welcomed in the church. My prayer for us all as we live out our faith on this journey is that we learn how to be a welcoming people who work to spread God's love and welcome in this world. We are so thankful for the work of the brave folks in the LGBTQIA+ community who have worked so hard to achieve the changes that we have seen in our culture and government. And my hope and prayer is that the church is going to be walking alongside them and others as we continue to push for justice and inclusion in our world. Thanks be to God. Today we're going to sing a new song. This song is called Draw the Circle Wide. And here's what it means. Have you ever experienced a time when you are with a group of friends and someone new shows up? Maybe you're all standing in a circle and the new person is outside of the circle. Well, what do? My hope is that you open up the circle to add the new person to the group. And in doing so, what happens to your circle? It gets bigger, right? It gets wider. So this song is about making room for people at God's table. When a new person comes to join the circle, right? To join the church. We open it up. We make the circle bigger. And I hope this becomes a part of our lives as we work to include more and more into our church and community. So would you sing with me?
Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle, draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle, draw the circle wide. Draw the circle, draw the circle wide. Draw the circle, draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle, draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle, draw the circle wide. Draw the circle, draw the circle wide.
Thank you so much for joining me for today's children's moment. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.